Hey folks, this is Ardwulf. Welcome. We're going to do a quick unboxing of this guy, Vance von Borries, Kiev to Rostov, 1941. This is part of the East Front series from 2008. It is the second most recent of those titles. I have had a sort of on and off interest in this series. At one point I owned, I think, Army Group South and Army Group Center. And I never got to play them, and I think I sold them off unpunched years ago and got a decent change for them at the time. But of course I regret selling them off. In particular, you can link Army Group South up with this to create a pretty monster game. By itself, I think this qualifies as a monster game. It's 4 maps. I think there's going to be 4 counter sheets in it. That's a lot of counters. So let's open her up and see what we get. However, that said, there are 1-map scenarios and there are mini-map scenarios, which is one of the things that attracted me to this particular version of the Eastern Front series. 2-inch GMT box, pretty standard. Pretty thick though. Nice box seal. Okay, we have our traditional GMT counter slip. Looks like a Leslie or a Lisley packed this for me. Thank you. And let's see what we have here. We have a map. This also links with Barbarossa, Crimea. And there's a map diagram on the back. Got more GMT baggies. 1, 2, 3, 4 full color maps. I won't show you the whole maps for obvious reasons. But they look pretty nice. I imagine these are probably Simonich maps. Doesn't actually say here. Probably says on the back of the box. So we'll get to the bottom of that shortly. Beautiful maps. We have a 10-sided die. And we have some counter sheets. A stack of counter sheets. Half-inch counters. Standard GMT white core stuff. We have 4 of them. We have our Russians here. We have more Russians and some markers and what looks like Russian air, I would imagine. Nope, that's German air. We have our Germans. For the map size, the number of counters in this game is not as high as you might think. 4 sheets of counters, a lot of them are markers. Easily one whole sheet is markers, probably 1.5 sheets are markers. Unit density is not going to be that high. So we have some Germans here. We got what look like Waffen-SS. We've got some pink guys who are Italians, blue Hungarians. We have some Slovaks. We have what I assume are Romanians. A couple more markers. We got another sheet of markers with some more Romanians, some more Russians. These may be cadres or something, maybe. Or they may just be specialist units. I see some look like Hungarian mountain units here. These are excuse me. These are brigades. Bunch more markers. I've been looking at the system. It's a fairly meaty system. This is one of the things that really attracted me to this. Actually, are these mini-map scenarios. This is for scenario number 1. Rostov redeemed the entire thing. Scenario rules, placement charts, and everything right on this map. I think that's awesome. We have this one. For scenario number 2, the Battle of Sumy works exactly the same way. Scenario special rules are right here. Your placement charts, the whole map is right here. I think that's fantastic. Plus, there's at least one map scenario as well. We've got, holy cow. Holy cow. Well, let's look at the rules first, I guess. We've got the rulebook and playbook. Rulebook looks like 36 pages. Nope, it's 40 pages. Pretty much all rules. Relatively high rules density in this series. It's not ASL, but it's fairly complex. Not an introductory war game. If you're on the market for an introductory war game, then I recommend taking a look at 1914, Glory's End, and When Eagles Fight, World War I, which I'm currently running a playthrough series of to show you how that works and to teach myself how that works. It's a pretty light game, especially when Eagles Fight. It's a pretty light game. We have a 32-page playbook here, which is an expanded sequence of play. We got some players' notes and developers' notes. We've got some little section on unit abbreviations. We've got some examples. There's a campaign game in here, which presumably uses all 4 maps. Standard kind of standard weight, I would say, black and white matte finish paper, and we got a huge stack of player aid cards here. So this is like a unit identification thing with some miscellaneous rules stuff on it. We got player aid card number 3. Are these all numbered? Yeah, this is chart and table card number 2. This is play aid card number 3. Stuff about replacements. Looks like there might be 2 of these, maybe. Soviet replacements and German replacements may work differently. Here's the Map V holding box, whatever that means. Here's a Soviet setup card for scenario number 3, Battle on the Sea of Azov, which I think is a 1-map scenario. Could be wrong. Scenario number 2, setup card. This is a big double. On the back we have Soviet setup card 2 back for scenario number 5 to Kharkov. And this is for scenario 2, Kiev pocket. Here's a setup card 3 for the campaign. And we do have a bunch of, actually, probably on that last sheet of counters, these are errata counters for Army Group South. That makes sense. And these are on quite heavy stock, too. Here's an Axis setup card for scenario number 3 and for scenario number 7. Here's another big Axis setup card for Kiev pocket, scenario 2. This is huge. And for number 5 to Kharkov. We have a victory point track and boxes for the air system and unit rebuilding. And here's one for the Soviets. Here is a big turn record track. The whole system has like a unified turn system, so there's a reason why this starts on turn 29. And this runs from August 17th to December 7th, 2-day turns, and then the gray is mud climate condition turns. So that represents the climate, not the weather, and maybe I'll get into how that works. I'm thinking of doing a playthrough series on the 2 smaller scenarios, which has already been done, by the way, by the Counterattack playthrough series, which you should subscribe to if you're not subscribed already. This is chart and table card number 1 with a bunch of informational tables. So yeah, this is packed solid. Not entirely sure how I'm going to get this thing stored. Let's try and get it all back in the box, which I think I can manage. We'll have to take a closer look at the counters here. Are these like units? So it looks like there is some unit affiliation on some of the counters based on the background colors of the NATO symbols, but not for everything. The yellow bars, I know, mean that that unit does not project a zone of control based on the unit type. So these counters here are the replacement counters for Army Group South. And I think Crimea contains errata counters for this game. And what all that amounts to, I'm not sure. I'd have to actually look at the errata. So Barbarossa, Kiev to Rostov, Big Daddy. It's really, other than World in Flames, it's really the only monster game I have, and I'm sort of trying to stay away from monster games as attractive as they are, for just logistical reasons. But this guy has smaller scenarios and it's stuff that's actually playable. I would like to glide into heavier games, and this is a good candidate for that. So, looks cool. Hopefully we'll get some more video on this in the near future. Thanks for watching.